Hey guys, in this video we're going to look at some images that I've made. I'm going to talk about why I lit them a certain way, how I lit them, what I was thinking, what you could do, kind of going beyond just here's a pretty shot. Like, what are we doing to make our shots something very interesting? So I'm Daniel Norton, photographer here in New York. I make videos like this one. I make them on philosophy. I make them on technique. If you're interested in that kind of stuff, go ahead and subscribe. So this image here is my friend Monty, and this one is kind of an interesting shot, I think, because this is, besides the fact she's wearing like one of the coolest shirts ever, this is primarily a bounced light shot. And what makes this interesting to me as far as a teaching device is that this is actually very similar as to how you might light somebody in natural light outside. So what's going on here is we've got a light source, right? You can see it on her hair right here, and we can see it over here. It's more or less above her. Some of it's spreading down and lighting the wall. Some of it's hitting her shoulder, right? It's basically hitting the wall behind her. It's scraping past her. But some of it, which of course you can't see because I'm using barn doors to shape it, is actually coming towards the camera, towards me. And kind of somewhere over here, but not in the shot clearly, is a reflector. So I'm using this one light to create what is essentially a hair light up here, right? Hair / separation light, a background light, and her key light, all in one shot. It's just bouncing back up to create this very flat image, right? It's very flat, it's very raw, it's very kind of in the moment. It feels like you're there with her. That's what I wanted. I wanted it to feel, it's kind of, she's got this kind of aggressive look. It's really like, here I am, and I'm powerful and, beautiful without being like, boom, I'm super lit, which is, is not a bad thing. We sometimes do that as well. But this is a very solid, you could do a shot like this if you had the light coming from the right angle. If there was light coming through a window, kind of ripping past her, and you kind of put her out of that light where it was just barely touching her and you kind of bounced it back in. This is the kind of light that you might get. It's like, when I say light coming through a window, I mean like hard light, like the sun. You're basically bouncing back this hard light. In fact, it's kind of coming from below her. If we look, again, her light is mostly here. You can actually see this shadow is actually kind of going up, right? See how the shadows are going up? Because and actually you can see in her eyes, the floor reflecting, the kind of reflector, just the edge of her light. Because what's happening here is that, again, her light source is coming from, like if it was me, like if you're looking at me, and I was doing what she's doing, I'll try to do that. It's like this is a bounce, right? I can't do that because my light, of course, is coming from this direction. But if my light was coming from behind, it's just bouncing back up on her, right? And it's scattering everywhere. And in fact, she's mostly using her own head, essentially, to block the light so it doesn't go like on the camera and flare, it doesn't come in front of her. She's posed in such a way. So this is fairly limited, right? Because if she were to raise her head, let's say straight up, she would be blasted by that light. It would hit her, and we would have to adjust for it. So this is something that I mentioned this in other videos too, where when I'm shooting this kind of stuff, this kind of really raw organic stuff, you're constantly moving your lights. You're not putting it on spot A, with your ratio set up, and you're just shooting. You're like shooting, and as they're moving, you're looking at the light. And I gotta move it a little bit this way. Okay, I gotta move it this way. Like I'm literally. That's why sometimes when you see Seth yell at me all the time, because I often don't like tighten things down all the way, because when I'm shooting, I'm moving stuff around. If I'm working and the person moves their head this way, I'm kind of going to move the light around to affect it. And you can see this light's loose. Yes, it's dangerous, I know, but that's how I shoot. So it gives you that idea. It gives you this ability to kind of move the stuff around. This is really important when the lights are close to somebody. If the light's really far away, of course, the difference is not huge. But when you're doing this really specific lighting, you really want to be able to have the control of the light to move it around and adjust with the subject and really move and make it happen. This image, I'm going to show another one from this series too in another video, but this image again is just probably using the raw head, and I'm mostly using the wall as the bounce. I'm using the floor as the bounce. I'm using a bounce card. It was probably a bounce card because I don't often use the pop-up reflectors when I'm in the studio, but it might have been, something to bounce up. Also, the floor itself, again, is because if you've seen my videos, in my studio, it's very bright. I have white, shiny floors, and she's sitting on the floor. So, pretty low, actually, because she's like crouched down. So the floor is probably like, I don't know, from her face is probably less than 2 feet, maybe about 2 feet from her face. So you're getting that bounce back. So that's essentially how we're making the shot, and it can create a moody shot. It can create emotion. It can create feeling, even though it is flat and not super sculpted like, let's say, some of the other stuff I do. I'm trying to show you a variety of stuff so you can see like why you would use different things when and how they create different moods, and hopefully that's working. Let me know if you like this shot, and if you like shots like this. Do you like to use flat light? Do you use bounce a lot? Like, how do you guys operate? That's what I'd like to know. Go ahead and subscribe and ring the bell if you haven't already, guys, so you get all these videos, and I will see you next time.